I have a confession to make. I've never played a metroidvania before. The only reason I'm covering Wonder Labyrinth is because I recently got into the Record of Lodoss War series, and I love elves. And if Freerun has taught us anything, it's that good soldiers do follow orders, and acknowledge that elven women, I'm sorry, they're just superior. The lucky bastard that gets to pull on her ears every night is Parn. He's scared of women though, so he runs off after we approach him, and thus we have to go off and find him. Alright, so I'm gonna give a warning. You're gonna be seeing some of the most god-awful gameplay imaginable because the default control scheme, it's horrendous. I actually look like a game journalist here. I feel really ashamed even showing you this clip. Took me until stage 2 to finally use my controller. And once I did, the experience was actually a video game instead of a visualization of a 23-year-old man going through late-stage dementia. Deedlit is a high elf who can live forever, except for when she dies, but she can control elemental spirits. The two you'll be using is wind and fire. You're meant to rapidly switch between the two on obstacles and certain enemies depending on their weaknesses or immunities. Attacking enemies will fill up your mana bars up to level 3, which will restore your health over time, and yes, getting hit will lower it, and yes, it really hurts when that happens. Whichever element you're using will fill up the opposite meters, by the way, so it creates this game where you gotta switch them. I like it, it's fun. It stimulates my brain. If you're using the power of holy fire, it'll restore blue mana points and vice versa. Also, it can completely negate damage from projectiles, like a f***ing dragon, except for when it doesn't. Doors. You ever wanted a game that made you despise doors? Well, call me a butcher's shop because I'm loaded with beef against structures of wood and metal, but I'll get into that later. Now, you do get a bow because you're a bark eater and a knife eater, so of course you do. It's nice, I like it. The bow do be a bow at times. Even if that doesn't suit you, just spam enemies with an AoE where you will sick will-o'-the-wisps on them. Everyone likes it when you hit an enemy with the equivalent of 8 medieval flashbangs. Got all that? Good, because here's Gim. He acts as our merchant. He's one of my favorites in the anime because he's a pure dwarf, and that's all I'll say on the matter. Once we collect everything, Slain, he's the group's mage, gives us the cryptic version of go fight the first boss, and he bails, leaving us to venture through the hallways of pain, which contain the lizards of Florida and the mighty roosters before... That's an entire sea monster. Kratos don't know these streets like I do. I sure love getting the equivalent of the Halo 3 Spartan laser fired right into my face. I unlocked sliding, by the way. The fire ability makes you immune until it doesn't, or until you fall in the lava like an idiot. The next fight is against Pirotess. She's a dark elf from the anime, and of course they had to combine another S-tier category when making this character. I want this video to stay monetized, so I'm not going to elaborate on what I mean by that. She is what I call a dex build, but so am I. The fight is really nice. It would be much easier if Z wasn't my attack key, but whatever, I'll deal with that consequence in about 15 minutes. She leaves because the game knows you love her already, meaning yes, you'll see her again. Don't complain, I know what you are. Alright, she stole this crystal ball that we got from the sea monster. I completely forgot about that. I'm going to keep it real with you guys. I'm like Guts for real, because I'm a Class A struggler on stage 2. I have no idea why, but death somehow preceded death at every turn. I've had more deaths here than I've had bitches in my entire life, and that number is still at 0. Sure, some clips have me doing well until I fall into the spikes for the 100th time, as well as these goblins that are incredibly tanky right now, because I don't have any good gear yet. My favorite part is when they consume my entire essence. Do you guys like kobolds? I sure as hell don't. They deserve a special place in hell for ending me off screen. Your entire existence other than the rat is to be a throwaway mob. Neither do I enjoy the company of these red birds. They were the bane of my existence. There are many things I want to see in life. That one scene that was cut from the Nier anime, and their entire species eliminated. Do yourself a favor and either spam them with your bow, or remember that you have an AoE and free will, meaning you can spam that shit. The only substantial progress I made was when I found Woodchuck, the group's thief, who offers up a minigame to make more money via gambling, until I saw the tutorial, which made my head hurt, so I turned the other way and never entered this room again. Ah yes, a giant centipede, I sure love this. Here's the power of God. Then there are will-o'-the-wisps, who specialize in shutting my brain off and swarming me. And there's the skeletons. You're meant to bait them into a lunge and attack from their back. Saved it. However, I didn't do that. Took some time, but I managed. This game isn't even that hard. I just suck on the default control scheme until I decide, screw it. I'm switching to the PS5 controller. Wow, you aren't just useful for only playing Stellar Blade. However, I did find the Sage Bow. It's really good, even though I forgot to equip it for about half an hour. Once the controller is plugged in, I am breezing through the new area and, oh, hell no. I say it was getting easier, but I got rocked within 3 seconds. After I run back since I didn't save, I found this arrow puzzle, which is about as horrible as you'd expect. Trust me, they get worse. After literally getting stun locked by skeletons, I buy a potion of green tea from Gim, and since I haven't unlocked the double jump ability yet, I am forced to retreat, which eventually leads me to the King's Spirits. You better get comfortable with switching between your spirits, because if you're not, the game is going to make sure you are very familiar with that mechanic. Final verdict? Yeah, it was a nice boss fight. I liked it. Oh, sweet, now I can finally double jump. Yeah, some high elf you are, Deedlit. Alright, this is Edto. I don't like him, and don't worry, you'll forget he's in the game. The writers in the OVA forgot he existed too, so you're good. Remember this lava room? I do, because it was hell. But now I breeze through it, and I'm able to double jump onto this platform. Did I mention I hate skeletons? Well, if this game is a game of patience, the devs are surely testing it with this spike layout and enemy placement. However, my autism prevailed. See this puzzle? This is what we call tedious game design. And now it's magically completed. Whoa, I saved you 15 minutes. Yes, it actually took me that long to do the puzzle. I know, it's embarrassing. I face against a giant ogre, which is one of the worst combinations an elf can face. I will not elaborate on what I mean by that. And I get a health upgrade. So that's nice. I'm sure Deedlit would have needed it in another universe had she been beset upon by goblins. Backtrack and secure the guitar. Really nice weapon to have, and it's gonna carry us for the rest of stage 2. Be sure to ascend past this red door for a damage buff while using spirit magic. Is it noticeable? A little. Alright, let's... That's an alligator. I'll be going the other way. Bully the skeleton for being different and enter the boss fight to fight Carla. I lied, it's a fucking dragon. Remember when I said some attacks you can straight up tank? Keep fire form on for those AoE attacks. The trick is you can't damage him while this form, so think of this as your final test. If only I had developed muscle memory to not be burnt alive or fall into the pit of lava. Yippee! I did it. On to stage 3. I don't like those tentacles. We're in an overgrown part of the labyrinth that houses many plant life. Me and my owner doesn't supply me with that sweet H2O. Not that big of a deal. Instead, watch out for the ogres, because fighting them in close range is about as scary as it looks for a 100-pound elf. We have to collect these souls, which will allow us to move on to the next level. Welcome to the elevator. I hate the elevator. Why? Because physics suck, and this game definitely needed more of its weaker elements to pad out the runtime. Me when I didn't get my father a beer. Hallway sure is a hallway. I enjoy running through hallways, particularly when the architect somehow fit an entire dragon inside. I do find another spirit flame upgrade, for I meet King Kasu, who got lost on a side quest after a night at the tavern. We can do a minigame with the bow here. I got an H rating, so I left because I was upset. Our boss for this area is finally Carla, who humbled me for about 27 minutes until I lied. We're fighting Flass, who proves that strength builds are indeed the superior build. I seriously hate her throw attack because it bounces off the walls, catching you midair, and it really makes you feel stupid, and I don't like that. When I said Carla kept me busy for 27 minutes straight, that was a lie, I meant Flass. However, she doesn't know about the power of the slide attack that works until my brain shuts off and I forget to fall back. The final stretch has me going up against these shades that blot out the light. After we collect the final soul, we backtrack and we're given a dark bow, which does dark damage and statistically is better than any other bow I have. But this is a psyop orchestrated by Deedlit's ops, because for the duration of this level, it's useless. Most enemies are immune to it, and Carla, she is especially immune to its damage. I mean, come on, look at her, it's kind of evident to be honest. So please, for the love of God, don't use this bow on stage 3. After I whittle her down, we fight the demon god. She does this cool transition I can't show you. I think she's kind of cute, might say I'd marry her one day if she didn't hit me all the time, because believe it or not, that shit hurts, and I find it rude. Alright, sick. Stage 4. Let's go. There are only 2 good things about Stage 4. Vanquishing the male Dark Elves, and when it ends. If I was truly lazy, I'd just skip this entire section, but alas, you're here to see me suffer, so suffer I will for your entertainment. Now first I obtained the spell to cast a tornado, but it's not that good, and it's expensive, so I didn't use it much until I decided, you know what, I'm this entire room out. I find a 5-shot bow so I can bypass these sword traps, and venturing forward, Deedlit is like, oh, Barn, hey! Pirotess, you're a real one. I appreciate it. Deedlit, I'm a good replacement if you need. Not only did I waste my time fighting giant minotaurs, flying lizards, and mummies that cast sands of time, I guess, and scorpions which poison you, because what's a fantasy game without poison enemies? But I died 5 times, sending me back to watch that cutscene again and again. I was losing my mind. Had to seek the ability to breathe underwater in order to progress, which would have been okay if I didn't spend 15 whole minutes just trying to brute force my way through the water puzzles. We get to fight a second dragon now. He's actually not too hard as long as you're not me. Little advice, if you want to cheese this fight, try to predict where his neck's gonna be when he lands so you can just get some easy damage in without hitting his collision. After defeating him, I obtained the mechanical sword because I guess the land of Lodoss is entering an industrial revolution of its own. Yeah, I'm just gonna use the bow. I'm under way too much mental strain right now. Then we begin our second Pirotess fight, and yes, it's harder than the first because it's a video game, you freaking dork. It's gonna be harder as you progress. Since Pirotess adds an emotional debuff, I struggled here, until I didn't, cutting down the Dark Elf and making me cry. Here's a sad anime girl on screen that really hammer home how sad I am at my actions. We enter this dream sequence and behind us is a weapon. You don't want to use it though. Why, you may ask? Oh yeah, this is gameplay. We do something and we're brought back to the real world, entering stage 5. Stage 5 is a nice level. I like the exploration, I like the aesthetic. Feels nice to get lost and navigate around the place. And I have this giant axe that I got while I was exploring stage 4, so it makes every enemy in the game easier to defeat, especially the gnomes. If you're a real gamer, you'll ensure to commit to your responsibility of swinging that thing down on the head of every gnome that crosses your path. Can't say the same for the griffins. They aren't too nice to me, and I find it rather rude. Oh, hell no. The boss for this area is Beld. However, he reminds me of my father because of one particular move. This is sadly one of those bosses where you almost defeat him on the first try just to choke and fail while he's rocking a sliver of health. This then resorted into 20 minutes of continual fighting, which featured a run back for a health upgrade because the save point is just before this. Now after that fight, I do unlock Windstorm, which is hopefully going to be the final exploration upgrade. You can also damage enemies, but you're only going to be doing that on accident, let's be honest. After some god-awful puzzle platforming, I confront Pirotess again, and it made me happy. Depression cured. Then this part. This puzzle. I hate the gear puzzles in this game, and I had the worst time trying to actually bypass the spikes because the elevator just wouldn't come. This resulted in me getting stun locked after just trying to glide my way through the cavern. We're moving on. I hate this room. God has left me to hollow away. We're fighting Ashram. This fight broke me. His attacks are frequent and his moveset requires perfection, lest you die. Also, see this? I get stunned, chained, and body slammed. The stun locking situation, it's crazy. I spammed him with my bow and I was able to defeat him by spamming all my spells since I was one shot. However, you know the messed up part? He has a second phase. Bro is actually weaponizing the third state of matter. Look, these dodges are cool, but I cannot afford room for human error. Keep spamming that bow for your own sanity. Yeah, may the earth swallow you whole. Oh, Pirotess, hi! I follow Parn and he leads me to the Bow of Life, which is quite literally a lifesaver. Then, we move on to stage 6. I'm gonna keep it real. Stage 6 sucks. The enemies are annoying, especially these dragons. In each room, it's just bloated with more enemies as you progress. Not to mention, each death resets you back to stage 5 because there's no save point until after you dredge through hell itself. After struggling to ascend to the next platform, one instance where this buffoon body blocked it, I enter a hallway. You have got to be joking. It gets worse. Here you get to fight Carla, finally, but you don't get to fight Carla. Instead, you have to fight every boss you fought in the game so far. Yes, from the giant blue serpent all the way to Beld and Fless. The best part was Pirotess, because I got to see Pirotess again, but she was the hardest boss by far, other than the green man. Oh, and you know the silliest part? You have to fight their second stage variants. Amazing. I sure do love the glow-in-the-dark Halloween City looking ass gobstopper rocking my shit. You do get items that fully restore your power level, magic, and health, but it's still annoying as hell. It took me 40 minutes to get through this, by the way, and I know that says more about me than the game, and I'm not blaming the game. I'm just saying it pissed me off, and that's what matters. I really do like the game, though, but god, this section sucked. The Lord is trying to tell me to go to church to find the one true femcell for my life, then it's working because I'm honestly considering it. This is clearly a sign. Shortly after, Deedlit starts hearing voices, and I think it's time for some background information. Wonder Labyrinth takes place just before the start of Crown of the Covenant light novel. It takes place after the originals. Remember when I said Deedlit can't die from aging? Well, the same couldn't be said for Parn and her crew. After coming to this realization, we make our way to fight Parn, and his moveset, it's a little insane. He couldn't fight this well in the OVA, this is cheating. You also get to fight the rest of her crew. So like Slane, for example, I like jumping behind him and just, stabbing the hell out of him. I do the same with Gim, even though he's a lot more tricky than Slane. And as for Woodchuck, his knives, they always hit me, so just shoot this guy as much as you can and, I don't know, just pray that it doesn't hit you. Eto. Yeah, I also forgot he was in the game, well. Now I'm gonna cut this next section, otherwise we'll get into a 3-hour rant about how bosses, healing is bad game design. After that's done, a statue of Parn rises, speaking to us, until it screams, and that's a Biblically accurate, Angel. Yes, the boss fight with Parn and crew was so hard the game wants to reward you for your struggle with another boss fight. Dying resets both, so try not to falter. When I don't suck at the game, you can play pretty aggressive with this be not afraid looking head ass. Just be sure to stand under his bracelets and run. Or pray, it's gonna hurt you regardless. I deliver that final blow, defeating this thing, and most likely condemning myself to the boiling pits of hell. Deedlit approaches Parn and say her goodbyes. One last time. Did you just take your meds? Oh, you fuck! Deedlit wakes up inside of an inn, and as we exit, another elf baddie approaches us and yaps about something I didn't care enough about. The game ends with Deedlit realizing that she can't keep living in the past, and there are sequels being made that she needs to appear in, and the credits roll. There's also this post-credits scene, which I imagine is the start to the Crown of the Covenant, so that's cool. This game was good. I really enjoyed it. Even if it seemed negative, I'm just trying to be funny, so decide if I succeeded at that. The pixel art is good, the music is really nice, it helps that the game's fun. I mean, seriously, if this is what a decent Metroidvania looks like, I really gotta play a lot more. Now, I'm not sure how to end videos, so here's A2, bye.